It's nice to have you with us on Channels Television. Welcome to Health Matters. I am Yomi Otaibi. Medicines are like two-edged sword. Use it as prescribed and you may have nothing to worry about. But when used inappropriately, there could be negative consequences. So reducing your risks and getting the most benefits from the medicines you use is what we'll be discussing today on the program. And my guest on the show is a consultant pharmacist with Ranksibera Consulting here in Lagos, pharmacist Efo Sunny. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Okay.
And let me quickly remind our viewers that if you have questions or you have concerns already about some of the drugs you're taking or how you're taking it, you can also join us in the discussion by calling 0121219663. The number will show on your screen when it's time for calls. Okay, I said drugs or medicines are like two-edged swords. How would you describe drugs?
Yeah, I would say drugs are medications which are used for cure, for treatment, and for prevention of diseases. And when taken properly, they do a whole lot of good. But when not taken well, it can lead to serious side effects, which could be as bad as death. And again, we have to understand that drugs are chemical substances, which when taken into the body can cure diseases. But these same chemical substances can also cause harm to the body when not used properly. So that's why we are looking at this topic today. How can we ensure that our family members use drugs properly? I mean, those are some of the things we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, and before we get into all of that, indeed, safe medicine itself, what does it entail?
Yeah, there's an arm of pharmaceutical care we call pharmacovigilance, which is all about safety of drugs, how to ensure that patients use drugs safely. In fact, pharmacovigilance, we look at the science of assessing how drugs are used. We look at the science of ensuring that drugs are taken when they ought to be taken. They also look at the risk and benefits of taking drugs. That's what pharmacovigilance is all about. And that has to do with safety of drugs. There is a special arm of pharmaceutical care that ensures that patients know all those things. We ensure that patients take drugs and it is safe when they are taking these medications. So that's one aspect of pharmaceutical care when it comes to taking drugs and of course medications.
And I know that the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration also has a department called pharmacovigilance.
Definitely.
Just in case people have reactions to drugs,
yes,
they could reach out to them. Now let's talk about those things that we do, the ways that we use our medicines that are not safe.
Yeah, before we go into that, I would just quickly like to know that when it comes to medications, we have the non-prescription medications, and we have those are what we call the over-the-counter medications, OTC drugs, and we have the prescription medications, which are meant to be taken only with a prescription from the medical doctor. We're looking at the OTC drugs, and of course, why they are called over-the-counter drugs, because if they are used properly as indicated on the drug leaflets or instructions, they are actually safe to be used. But when it comes to prescription drugs, that's where we have a lot of issues.
Okay, maybe we should talk about the OTC, over-the-counter drugs. Let's talk about those drugs that fall within that category.
Yes. Over-the-counter drugs, we have drugs like pain relievers, which everybody takes. Like we have paracetamol, we have aspirin, we have cough syrups, we have even cold medications are all what we call over-the-counter drugs. And despite the fact that they are over-the-counter, that they can be bought without a prescription, people still misuse them. And there's still a lot of abuse going on with over-the-counter drugs. For example, let's just take the simplest pain reliever that we all know, paracetamol. Some people can actually think they can take about 4 tablets at once, while the recommended dose is 1 milligram. Yeah, that's 1 milligram, which is 2 tablets, 500 milligram 1 gram, which is 500 milligram in 2 places. But some people feel they can take 4 tablets at once. Maybe they took 2 and they are not getting relief. After about 2 hours, they want to take another 2 tablets. That is actually abuse or misuse of drugs. So we have to be careful. We need to ensure that we all understand how these drugs should be taken at home. Even if we also look at children, at times mothers can actually overdose their children because they might not use the measuring spoon, which is often placed in syrups for children. And when the measuring spoon is not used, the mother can actually take more than the dose that was prescribed for, or
perhaps less than the dose,
or less than the dose prescribed for that particular child. So all these are areas where drugs cannot be used safely, and we know they all come with their own various side effects and several risks, which patients can be exposed to.
Another drug that seems to be well abused is antibiotics.
Yeah.
Antibiotics.
Yes, antibiotics actually is a prescription medication which is used for treating bacterial infections. But often,
so those are drugs that we shouldn't just go and buy.
Yes,
it should be prescribed.
It should be prescribed. Antibiotics should be prescribed. But here in our country, we see antibiotics as even attain the status of an over-the-counter drug. People just walk in, they say, give me ampiclos. People walk in, give me amoxicillin, and it ought not to be so. Antibiotics are prescription medicines, and we should ensure that you get a prescription before you go and buy antibiotics. Why do I say so? Let me just give you 2 simple reasons why antibiotics should not be abused or misused. The fact that we see this drug antibiotics, in the society, we even have a general problem with antibiotics, because when there's an abuse or misuse of antibiotics, there's a general resistance to the drug, so that even someone that has not abused the drug can have experience some resistance.
Yeah, the WHO raised the alerts, I think, last year about resistance to some
commonly used antibiotics. And what that means is that we are reducing the number of antibiotics which can be used to cure bacterial infections. And we know what is happening now. The rate at which new drugs are being discovered is the rate is very, very low compared to maybe 10 years ago, when every year you have pharmaceutical companies coming up with new drugs to treat different infections. But now, discovering of new drugs is quite low. So that's why antibiotics should not be abused by everybody.
That's what we have now, so that we don't just run out of what we can use to treat bacterial infections.
Yes.